Thank you for tuning back into the Walk On Pod. I am Luke Avdalovich. With me, as always, is Jared Waters and Tommy Ball. And first, we'd like to apologize. We know this is either a very late upload Sunday night or early Monday morning, depending on when you get around to it. But because of that, we are bringing you back-to-back guest week episodes, and this is a big-time guest. Tommy pulled a couple strings to make it work, and he's sacrificing some time for us, so we really appreciate him being here. One of the newest members of the Memphis Grizzlies and Folsom, California representative, Jaylen Wells, is here with us today. Jaylen, appreciate you joining us, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It was 2021, man. Class of 2021 legend right here.
Yeah, so I mean, look, I said it very briefly. I know Tommy gave him the rundown before, but Jaylen, like we said, we kind of give you the floor here at the Walk On Pod, let you tell your story in whatever capacity you want to, and we'll take it from there. Ask you some questions, and we'll go from there. So, floor is yours, and let's hear it.
Sounds good. Yeah, like you said, grew up in Sacramento. Went to a small private school called Country Day. People like Jared McCain were there, Devin Askew, Shamar Morrow, yeah, a lot of others. Went there from third to eighth grade, and then I went into high school. Went to Folsom High School. I was 5'8", coming in as a freshman. Probably the 15th man on JV. Had some spot minutes here and there. Didn't really have that great of a year. So I went from there to, I think I grew around to about 5'10", 5'11" my sophomore year. I ended up being the sixth man on JV. I think all the freshmen were starting in front of me. It was a little bit of a struggle trying to get on the floor. But I think I went from there and then grew to 6'2" my junior year. Ended up starting every single game my junior year on varsity, which is a big jump for me. I think did all right, averaged around 9 points, 4 rebounds. I think, and then COVID happened at the end of that year. Probably the hardest I ever worked in my life. Everything was shut down, so I was just going to my high school, hopping the fence, running the bleachers, doing whatever I can with my dad, finding hoops around Sacramento parks because they were taking the hoops down, and I think Dante was able to open the gym for me. Yeah, just find any way I can to get some work in. So I went from averaging 9 and 4 to averaging 20, 28 and around 8 rebounds my senior year. Which, I mean, usually most people averaging that at Folsom would have probably a lot of offers. But I ended up only having two Division II offers, one at Cal Maritime, one at Sonoma State. And a lot of people were telling me just to walk on at D1s, but I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to go somewhere where they really wanted me and had a plan for me. So I think going to Sonoma State was probably the best decision I made in my career. Just being able to grow as a person, grow as a leader, not only on the court, but off the court. So I ended up going there my freshman year. It was a lot of losing. We went 3-25. I learned a lot from that year. I think I did all right as a freshman. I was starting, playing a good amount of minutes. I averaged around 12 points, 4 or 5 rebounds. But I mean, obviously losing that much sucked. So I mean, that helped me grow as a leader. I obviously didn't want to keep losing like that. Next year, we had a lot more different people on the team. We ended up going 14-14, winning the first round of the conference tournament, which for Sonoma State, that's a big accomplishment for us because they don't really win that much. I mean, the average around 22 points, 8 rebounds. Got a couple awards, Player of the Year, things like that. Then at the end of that year, transferred to Washington State. Started off kind of slow. I had a couple injuries, wasn't really playing that much. And then just kept working, put my head down, kept working. Got my first start against USC. LeBron was courtside. Never forget that. I think I had about 14 or 15 in the first half, and I never really looked back from there. Ended up making the March Madness, which is for Washington State, that hasn't happened in 16 years. So that was pretty cool. Made a lot of history there. And then, yeah, I kind of just took a chance on myself going into the draft. Everyone kind of expected me to be undrafted and kind of just go back to school. But throughout the pre-draft process, I was just getting more confidence, getting really good feedback. Even going into like not too long before the draft, I was not really projected to be as high as I was picked. But yeah, so I mean, just taking a chance on myself really, really paid off. And yeah, so I'm here now. Got drafted with the Grizzlies. Had my first 2 starts these last 2 games, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
Look at that. That was beautiful. We
Yeah,
usually have guests. We usually have
quick
guests
little
give
10
like a
minutes
30
run through.
second. Yeah, they give 30-second and don't really highlight what they've done. I thought you did a really good job right there, man. And
Thank you.
congratulations on the starts as well. It's big time, and you've been playing great so far. So we're super stoked for you.
Appreciate it.
We've talked about the CCA here a few times in the Walk On Pod, and we talked about how high level of a Division II conference it is. And so when you talk about Sonoma State, you talk about losing the freshman year and that transition to sophomore year. I don't think you like just saying that it was tough first year going to second year. You grew as a leader and you grew as a teammate and grew as a player in general. I don't think that kind of explains the brevity of how big of a jump you have to make to win a conference game, like you said. Like that's huge for Sonoma State. As a player and as a freshman, 19, 18, 19, 20 years old, how were you able to get yourself in a mindset of where, hey, I'm in this situation. I know I'm in a good role. I know I'm in a place where my coaches believe me. How can I take this step not only for myself but as a team to get in a position in a good conference in a high level area to put us in a winning position? Because again, like as a 18, 19, 20-year-old, a lot of kids would probably just brush it off and be like, man, this sucks losing. Sonoma State doesn't win. Like I shouldn't have come here. You know what I mean? How were you able to flip the switch and turn that mindset into, hey, how can we turn this into something special?
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest things for me was just being a leader and taking that leader role. They kind of gave me that leadership role very early as a freshman, which is something I really wasn't ready for, and I'm really glad they just kind of threw me into that. So going my sophomore year, I definitely recognized that and recognized I have to be that leader that takes the team to the next level. But yeah, like I said, I learned a lot. I think one of the biggest things was just staying positive and just learning how to take the positives out of all these losses and out of all the negatives, just be able to find whatever's positive and keeping the team together. If you would have saw our team the last game where we're probably 3-8, 3-24, and we played our last game of senior night and we ended up losing that game. But if you would have went into the locker room and see how we interacted with each other, it seemed like a team that was 25-3, just because we stayed so positive. Everyone was great. And I think that was kind of like one of the biggest things that I took from that was that, a lot of it is bigger than basketball. There's a lot of things that happen off the court that, that are important to just being a team. So that was definitely one of the things. But yeah, I think also one of the things just being more confident. I had to be more confident just being at that level, and being the leader, one that has to take most of the scoring load and just doing whatever I have to do to win, whether it's rebounding, playing defense. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
And if you tell Jaylen, I could get my years mixed up here, but remind me, I think that first year there you guys were Sonoma was in a huge transition phase, and you guys the coach was doing both men's and women's, right?
Yeah, that was crazy.
He was coaching both teams.
Yeah, he was coaching the women's team and men's team. So like the women's played right before the men's. So he coached the women's game. We'd go out to warm up, and so like he'll be talking with the women's team after the game conclusions, whatever with them. And then we'll finally go back in the locker room at 5 minutes, and that's the first time we're seeing and talk to him about the game.
Wow.
Like scout, all that. Like dude was
That's
doing
absurd.
2 scouts, like travel, like schedule for 30 players. Like
Crazy.
yeah, no,
Oh my
that was like a nutty. I remember when that was happening. It was like a crazy, crazy time. So, but Jaylen, when you made that, you talk about making the transition. When you made that transition, obviously from Sonoma to Washington State, and obviously playing big time basketball, what was Luke kind of alluded to, but what was one of the things that was tough to make that transition, or what was the toughest thing to make that transition? Obviously, going from the best player in a D2 conference to playing against Pac-12 teams, storied like teams that have been super successful.
I think a lot of it was just the physicality. You're playing against guys that are the same skill level, but they're a lot bigger, stronger, faster. I think that's really the biggest thing is just how much. I mean, there's a lot more resources at D1, so these guys are bigger, stronger, and faster. I think the role for me, just being able to change my role, that wasn't really too hard for me. I think I was able to really just adapt to that. Just throughout my career, I've always just been the guy who's just gonna, fill in whatever my role is and just trying to make the most out of that. So that was pretty easy for me. But yeah, just adjusting to the pace and probably defense, honestly. I mean, there's a lot more scout D1. So I mean, it was gonna be a lot more off-ball screens. I think that was one of the biggest things, just getting my off-ball defense the best. Because I think that was one of the main things I wasn't playing at the start of the season was just I just couldn't get through an off-ball screen. That was probably like the hardest thing ever.
Well, yeah, when that screen goes from being like, CCA bigs or like, like
Yeah.
6'6", like 220 to 7'1", 270.
You got a dem bonus setting them screen.
Yeah, those are some questionable screens if we
Yeah.
That's funny.
go
So
ahead,
speaking of Washington State, I think you kind of brushed over this during your overview, and I want to touch on it. I don't want to necessarily say a coming out party, but I think a big moment in that year for you was the U of A game, the Arizona game. I kind of just you talked about the USC game and that being a big moment, but I mean, if you haven't seen what happened during that game, please go look it up. Big time and one game winner, corner three in a Jared talked about storied college basketball. That's Mikhail's like everyone's standing on their feet. It's loud. I've played there on opening night. I understand how difficult it is to play in that gym when it's at its highest peak. So kind of just talk about that game. And I mean, you've talked about confidence, and I love that about you. I just add that to the whole part of the story because I don't think it's a moment that we want to brush over.
Yeah, that was probably the most fun game I ever played in my life. That was definitely a big game for me in my career, just because I mean Washington State's not very like a national brand, so being able to play a team that is a national brand on ESPN on national television, and just being able to have a performance like that was big, just because no one really knew who I was or knew much about Washington State. So that was the biggest game in my career for me getting drafted. But yeah, that was it was a sellout crowd, neon night. It's literally just like an NBA environment. Like that was crazy. So yeah, it was cool just to be in that moment, be able to have a game like that, and I think I kind of embrace it when I'm in situations where it's like a lot more pressure. So yeah.
Pressure is a privilege, man.
Facts. The question I want to ask you, Jaylen, is like obviously like you grew so much over the back end of your high school career. Like how do you like handle that and deal with like when you're working on your game? Like what is that like when you go from 6'2" to 6'6", 6'7", and you're trying to figure out like, okay, like what position am I anymore? Like, oh, now I can really go dunk the basketball. Like, what are you thinking about when that's going on?
Yeah, I think the craziest thing I was 6'6" my senior year, and I was still playing point guard. So like, I mean, I think just honestly being short and being a guard helped me as I got taller, just because I had those guard skills as I got taller. So just being versatile and like I can almost play every position was big for me in my recruitment for college and for just being drafted. But I think a lot of it is just not holding yourself to one box. Because I mean, you got guys who are 6'6" when they're in the 7th grade, and then they stay 6'6" the rest of their life, and all they really know how to do is post moves. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just staying versatile.
Yeah. And speaking of that too, I think you know, I've watched you for a long, long time. And um how do you feel, kind of just piggyback off of Tom, how do you feel like your shooting ability developed as that kind of not necessarily was your calling card in high school? I think in high school you were super dynamic. You scored in a lot of different ways in high school, and then got to Sonoma and obviously like got to free throw line a lot and got downhill a lot, used your size, and then like Washington State, it was much more of a like pro style type shooting, spacing type situation. So obviously shooting is probably your one of your best skills now, if not your, you know, your best NBA skill, I guess, quote unquote, right? Is how did you develop that through the years as you kind of navigated being a scorer, and now as you talk about, like the NBA is very specialized. So
Yeah, I think just, I mean, having a 3-point shot's always something to really fall back on. Every team's going to need a 3-point shooter. But I think it's just, what is that other thing you do, which has always been the biggest thing. When I went through pre-draft, it was, yeah, he can shoot, but what else can he do? So I mean, now that I showed I can play really good defense. So that's my other thing. But yeah, I think a lot through my development, like it's how much of an extent to, like, can I shoot? Like for example, I was shooting probably just catch and shoots, nothing crazy, like no, like coming off pin downs and stuff like that. And that was the one thing I was kind of introduced to going into Washington State, was running off pin downs and shooting threes like that, coming off DHOs. So I think I think that year was probably the biggest jump I ever made in my shooting, just because I started to become more versatile in the ways I can get my shots off. And that was probably the first time I ever really just been introduced to that. I never really thought of that, honestly. I was just more
right.
catch and shoot, off the dribble, simple stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's not something you guys did at Folsom, and even at Sonoma, it wasn't
Yeah.
as much as what you did. So that's, yeah, no, that's, I think that's, to me, looking at it from a long standing period of, you know, 10 years, I think that's like, I think you hit it right on the head. That's the biggest part of your game that's really flourished in the last year. So I think that was like, you know, obviously shout out to Coach Smith and the staff there that really helped you get that, and then obviously your desire to, you know, make that one of your biggest weapons. Especially, I was gonna go ahead, Luke. If you're gonna say something else, I was just gonna ask one more thing off that.
I was gonna jump around back to a Washington State question.
So I was just gonna say, now that you're playing with people like Ja Morant and stuff like that, who's so super, super, super talented and gifted as a passer and dynamic scorer and all that stuff. What's one thing that now that you are in the NBA like situation, completely pro style, what do you look for? What do you try to envision and see when you're out there playing with someone like that, who's, I mean, probably the type of player you've never played with before?
Um, I feel like for Ja, like he's really good at making that late pass. Like you really don't expect it. So just always being in that gap that if he needs an outlet, I mean he can finish with with the best of any of them. But sometimes just being that extra outlet that if he needs it.
Yeah.
So I just try to always stay engaged. Sometimes you might think, oh, he's about to go attack and shoot it, whatever. And then you get out your stance, you're not ready to shoot it. So I just try to always stay in the gap to where he can make a good pass, and be able to get a shot up.
Like I said, I was gonna bounce around a little bit here. So back at Washington State, you talked about, you guys were winning games. I remember you were ranked at one point, make it to the tournament and all that. Every single year during the draft, there's always stats about if this is the 60-player pool, this is how many players were on a winning team in NCAA, or this is how many players were on a losing team. So I know that's super valuable and looked at as a big thing for scouts. But I also want to look at your team. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know top to bottom what your roster looked like at Washington State. But I do know another player that similar uprising story, Isaac Jones. He played at Idaho and Tommy can also attest to this. He dominated at Idaho. He was a problem. And I know he was on Washington State with you. And again, like, I think the way that college basketball is put together now with the transfer portal and the way people are recruited to different schools, you look at different makeups of teams and you wonder why they're successful. So if you look at your Washington State team, you had someone like you who was a late bloomer, went to a D2, found their way to be successful in whatever role was given to them. You have someone like Isaac Jones who was dominant at a small school, found his way and found his way up to a Pac-12 school. And again, you both were on a very successful Washington State team. How do you think those type of stories and experiences contributed to your guys' success?
Yeah, I think it was honestly perfect in a sense. I mean, we were a team that got so much better throughout every single game, every single practice. If you watched our first scrimmage, we scrimmaged at school in the Big Sky, and I think we just won by 1 point off like a buzzer beater or something. And if you would have watched that game, you would thought we would be the last team in the Pac-12. But I think it's just a testament. I mean, the coaching staff was so dedicated, and I think it was just how together we were as a team. And like you said, those stories. I mean, everyone on the team. Miles Rice, he came back from cancer. He was out for 2 years. Isaac Jones, what you just said, came from a JUCO. Me from D2. We had another player from JUCO. Yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of those stories on that team, and I think everyone had something to prove. I think that was the biggest thing. Like every time we stepped on the floor, everyone had something to prove. Every day when we stepped into practice, we had something to prove. And I think it showed. I mean, I think you have some teams where everyone's been the star their whole life, and there wasn't maybe I don't even think there was a single person on that team that ever had that treatment. So I think it just kind of worked together in that way. And we just got better every single day.
That's big ups to the coaching staff, honestly, because
Yeah,
I
for
think
real.
now with the way some college teams are put together, it's like, okay, who's in the portal? What school do they come from? How many stars do they have in high school? Okay, we want them on the team. Like, it sounds like that team was put together based on knowing who they were recruiting, the type of guys they were bringing in that were going to be ready to buy into what they were doing. So that's big time. That's really big time.
The other question I wanted to ask you, kind of again jumping around. Obviously, it was a big deal. It was on social media yesterday. The fact that you got to play against Jared, and you guys obviously grew up together. And for people that don't know or aren't from Sacramento, Jaylen mentioned earlier, Sac Country Day is a K-12 school that might have 150 kids in the entire school. Maybe like they were literally D6 before like when Jaylen didn't go to high
That
school
was
there,
crazy.
that's probably why, is because they were actually literally D6.
If a quick producer intermission, if you want to go back and listen to the Chase McCain episode when he explains his time at Sac Country Day, there you
That's
go.
right.
That'll give you a
Yeah.
blueprint of what it looked like.
Yeah. But obviously now to see both of you, and you guys had completely different paths, obviously, but then to get to share the court together and not only representing Sacramento, but just representing yourselves. Because I know Jared super well too, and obviously you guys have a lot of the same mental makeup and personal traits as players. And so, how was that for you as that experience yesterday?
Yeah, that was really cool. Crazy, just like I think it was crazy just to think about how different our paths were. And we both end up in the same spot playing against each other. I think it was really cool to see that.
It's a lot of, I think a lot of people.
Crazy,
Yeah,
man.
we got
especially-
hey we got shout out Ank, man. Shout out Ank. Shit, Ank in the lab. He's just
There you go.
building pros out here.
Jaylen, I wanted to ask you about I think I saw this. Yeah, I think it was on Media Day, and you were telling this story. I don't know if Jared and Luke have seen it. I don't know how many times you told the story already, but you gotta talk about the John Conchar in the grocery store. I mean, that how funny is that guy was your teammate?
Nah, yeah, that was hilarious. So it's like a little small grocery store. You wouldn't really there's never really anyone in there. You're usually in there by yourself, so like you wouldn't really expect to see anyone. Um, then I think I walked in, and then this guy just comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, like I'm John, big Grizzlies fan. Like, can I get a picture?" And then it's like girlfriend comes over, takes the picture, and then yeah, that's what it is. Shake his hand, walk away, and then one of the cashiers comes up and he's like, "You know, you just took a picture with." I was like, "Yeah, John." He told me the Grizzlies fan. I was like, he's like, "No, that's John Concha, your teammate." I'm like, "Oh, damn."
They set you up or what? It was a setup.
No, he does. It wasn't a setup. He didn't tell
Oh.
it. He didn't tell the cashier. Like the cashier, it's a small place, so like he knows
Oh.
every Grizzly player that walks in there.
Okay, got you.
So he was just watching.
Oh, I
And
was thinking like John maybe set you up, or maybe the team set you up social media.
no,
That's
no, no,
crazy.
no,
That
no.
was organic.
But like it's funny because he's right next to me in my locker. Like it was his first. It was during like summer workout, so like it was his first day back in Memphis. So like I had no idea. Yeah, that was funny.
That's pretty fun, dude. That's good. They got a good sense of humor about that.
I'm sure guys like him do that, like get that a lot though. I remember like on the Dream Team documentary
Yeah,
when there was
this
like John Stockton
yeah.
walking around. Like I always get a kick out of those type of stories.
That's a good one. That had me laughing for sure.
So before we wrap things up and we get into the starting five, do you two have any other questions?
Yeah, I just one thing I wanted to know, I see they've been throwing you pretty big defensive assignments already this year. You were guarding Dame the other day and Tyrese Maxey last night. Is there a guy like you're super excited to lace up and compete and guard? Do you have anybody in mind?
Man,
It's a little
Jimmy
different from
Butler.
guarding Oak Ridge High School now to the NBA.
Yeah, looking forward to like Jimmy Butler. Obviously LeBron.
That's crazy.
Shea. I think Shea. I mean, he's probably gonna have at least 30, but I hope it's a tough 30. A tough 30 though.
That's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah. That's probably the main ones. Tyler Hero.
Guys going at the Heat. This is crazy.
Yeah,
I was out. I used
Bulletin
to
board.
be a Heat fan, so
Okay. You had to
that
drop
makes
the
sense.
allegiances now.
Yeah.
yeah.
What has been your welcome to the NBA moment? Have you had it yet?
Nah, I don't even had it. I actually had a random like. I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of crazy." I was guarding Taj Gibson, and I was like, "Why?"
That's crazy.
And I was thinking, like, "Why am I guarding?"
He's
Taj
twice. He
Gibson?
might
Like,
be
this is-
twice as old as you.
Bro,
Yeah,
Todd
like, this is-
Gibson's still in the league?
Yes.
Yes, he's on
Who's
the
he playing
Hornets.
for?
The Hornets.
What the hell?
And I was just thinking, like, why am I guarding Taj Gibson right now? It's like, it's crazy. Like I was playing 2K with him like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
That's,
that's a
that's
good one.
nuts.
That is a great one.
That's crazy. Josh Gibson.
To wrap up a little interview portion, obviously, if you've listened to the last 30 to 40 minutes, you understand Jaylen's story a little bit. If you could give one piece of advice to any young kid listening to this from your story, chasing their dreams, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to run their own race. Not everyone needs to go to the biggest camps, be on the best AAU teams. Not saying it's a bad thing. You know, sometimes that is the right decision. But just I feel like when you're younger, it's more important just to value your development rather than valuing the followers and whatever endorsement deals you're trying to get. Because at the end of the day, most people's goal is to make it to the NBA. And once you get to the NBA, you can have all the money you want. So, that would be my advice.
There you go. I like it.
Shout
I like
out to
it.
Sleep. Shout out to Sleep Nation, man.
There you
Yes,
go.
sir.
There you go. All right, let's get into this.
2020, 2021 thing.
Sleep Nation,
That's
big
that's
time
honestly
thing
before
right
my
there,
time,
man.
Jared. Like that makes
You
me
mean
feel like
past
an
your
old head.
time?
I knew
know
all
me.
about
I'm
it.
before
Come on.
that time. I'm
Got it
before
right
that
here.
time.
Come on.
Oh
Look
my
at
God.
that. See, you got the
There you go.
bracelet on. Sleep
That's high
Nation,
level.
bro. Come on.
All right, let's get into it. So, obviously, we've said it multiple times. Jaylen was a late bloomer himself, in whatever capacity you want to take that in. We have starting five late bloomers. We said from any sports. So hopefully, Jaylen, you got a pretty good rundown of how we do this. Like Tom said, we do a draft format. We usually give the guest the choice of what the draft order is. So you can choose, what order you want us to go in, and then we'll snake draft
Oh,
it
we
back
each get
around.
our starting five.
Yeah, we'll do one pick
Yeah.
at a time,
Oh,
and
okay, okay,
then
okay,
we'll
okay.
do it. We'll
Like you
do
do
it
in a
like snake
fantasy
draft
football
format.
draft. Yeah.
Got you.
So if you want
All
to
right,
pick the
cool.
order right now, we can go ahead from there.
But is like, what if I say one and he's not really a late bloomer?
You're the GM.
your-
You can
your-
put
yeah, it's
together
your
whatever
team.
team you want. Like
Tom might
it's
throw a
up to your
flag if
discretion.
it's a little questionable, like
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
All right,
but
got it.
it's all you. So you
I'm
got an
first?
order in mind? You get to choose. You get to choose the order.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go first.
All right,
Let's
Jaylen
go.
first.
I don't know how you're black. Let's go. Me, Tommy, Jared, Luke.
Got it.
Do it.
There we go.
I'm going Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis
Oh,
at the.
good
You want him
pick.
at the power forward or the center?
Yeah, power forward.
Power forward. We're going AD.
That's
That's
nice.
it's a great
Yeah.
great first pick.
yeah.
All right. I'll match Anthony Davis. I'm gonna go Antonio Gates at the power forward.
Wow,
Antonio
nice,
Gates,
okay.
tight end.
Football first, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that. Waters, you were three.
Yeah. I feel like this has been talked about a lot lately in the social media that came up, but I feel like I can put him at point guard because apparently he's pretty good on defense. And another shout out to Big Sky. Give me Cooper Cup,
Mm,
PG.
That's actually a really good one.
that's a great
Yeah,
pick.
Cooper Cup at the PG.
Yeah, I was dominating on the red field at Eastern Washington. Hey Tom, not to like go back. I don't know Antonio Gates' story. Do you have any background on that? So I can just. I mean, I'm
I was
curious.
just reading
Actually.
about it. They said he like what was it? Basketball was like supposed to be his first sport, and
Okay.
he like tried to like pick between two, and then he decided late like that he was going to be a football player, and then
Now we know who Antonio
became
Gates
Yeah.
is.
Anthony Gates
Yeah.
that he
Nice.
is.
That's can't get beyond that.
All right, I like that. All right, this is gonna feel like a very crazy first to second round turn. At the shooting guard, I'm gonna take Michael Jordan. Got cut from his high school team as a
I was
sophomore.
gonna say that one, bro.
I
was
don't
waiting.
know
I didn't want
how.
to say it first. I didn't think
Yeah,
I
I
was gonna say
don't.
it.
I think that like at the fourth pick right here, that's a no brainer. Like I said, to whatever capacity you want, but
The
he
guy
did
was
get
cut
cut.
from his high
He
school.
got cut from his high school team. Like he
Oh,
found
got
his
cut
rhythm
from
late.
varsity as a sophomore.
Hey, some of us had to
So he
do
played
that.
JV.
JV's
Yeah,
good hoops.
Exactly.
And then my point guard, to quarterback my team, if you will, I'm taking Tom Brady, who was not even his starter at Michigan. He was drafted behind his starter at Michigan.
These guys, that's actually crazy. Those did not even come into my thought process. And the fact that you have two goats in the backcourt, I'm sick with myself,
I
honestly.
think
Yeah,
as
that
a
sucks.
GM, this felt like I won the lottery because
Yeah, I'm sick with myself.
you just didn't look at it the same way I did. Because
Yeah.
again, a lot of people like if you're like an average football viewer, you probably don't know Tom Brady was not Tom Brady at Michigan. Like
No.
people were saying JJ McCarthy is the greatest quarterback at Michigan, and you're like, wait, Tom Brady went there. That's because he was never the outright starter there. He literally
he
got
was
drafted
like a
behind.
6th-round pick.
Yeah, and if you see his draft picks, you understand why. So,
Yeah.
yeah, give me the
Dang,
goat at the point guard and the goat
I'm
at shooting guard.
I'm reeling now. I'm actually reeling. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that feels
Okay.
really good.
At power forward, this guy has an awesome story. Most people have heard it now with The Last Dance, but I got to go Dennis Rodman, man. Dennis Rodman. He pulled the Jaylen Wells. He grew like 8 inches at an older age, and then just ended up being one of the best defenders, rebounders to ever live, and didn't even finish high school basketball and played. I think it's Oklahoma Baptist NAIA school.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
No, that's a good pick.
Yeah, at power forward.
Here we go. I'll solidify the front court here with Antonio. I'm gonna go rest in peace, first of all. Dikembe Mutombo at the center. Mutombo. He didn't
Nice
get
pick.
recruited to start playing basketball until he was 21.
Yeah, nice.
I got 2 picks.
Yeah.
You got two picks.
First pick, I'm going Joel Embiid.
There you
What
go.
at the center?
That's at center.
At center. Second, I don't even know, to be honest. Let's go. Wait, who did I say my power forward was?
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis.
Ah, shoot. Gotta show respect to the D2. I'm going Derek White.
Oh,
Oh,
That's
nice
a really
pick.
good pick.
That's a good
oh,
pick.
that pissed me off actually.
At the two.
At the 2. There we go.
I tricked that one off.
That's a nice pick.
That's a really
Yeah,
good
it's your
pick.
conference, Tom. Come on.
That's literally the conference. I literally played
That's our
Colorado
Mac.
Springs.
Come on.
That bump. All right. Point guard, we need a good facilitator, you know. This guy was definitely overlooked and then has an argument. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Give me Drew Brees. Give me
Mm.
Drew Brees at the point guard.
Nice
He-
pick.
He's gonna be
No, that's
diamond
actually
all night
really good.
long.
I like it.
Really good.
At center, I gotta take Ben, man. Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace. He's the only undrafted player to make the Hall of Fame. If you didn't know that.
Yeah. No, that's
The-
there you go.
That's yeah.
D3, I think, if I had to get it right. But yeah, Ben Wallace at the center. Guy was an animal out there.
Yeah, no, that's really good. All right, I'm gonna play some positional value here. We're gonna go to my small forward. This one was a given. This is a player that I study more than anyone else. Give me Duncan Robinson at the small forward.
Yeah.
Ah,
D3 hoop.
Yeah,
Good
that's
pick.
a new one.
So give me Dunk. Dunk, if we can, get you on the pod, I would love that. Okay, and then at my power forward, we're gonna go back to the football field here. I think he fits at the power forward, honestly, because this guy's he's a problem. Not someone you want to get in front of. Did not know this. He was a walk-on at USC, and only because his father went there, and so he was a legacy, and so he was able to get a spot on the team. Give me Clay Matthews at the power forward, one of the greatest linebackers of all time.
Wow.
I didn't
There
know
you go.
that.
Hey,
Little
Yeah.
preliminary research there, found that out. So I think that's a
Nice.
pretty
Great
cool
job,
story.
production team.
Yeah, there we go. So give me Clay Matthews at the power forward.
That's a good pick. I wanted to round my team out, have not just be all basketball, and so I did some more digging. And at small forward, this guy has probably one of the most unconventional paths in his sport. If you ever watch Premier League or any high level soccer, they pretty much pick you at age 7 and then just groom you until you're 15, and then you
I
play
know
pro.
what you're gonna pick right here.
At small forward, I'm gonna take Didier Drogba.
Yeah.
He did not play in the Premier League until 26 years old, which is actually like ancient for Premier League players to start playing. And
He
he
was
played
like
for
that, too.
Chelsea, and he was lights out, man. Dude
That's a household name when it comes to
Yeah.
soccer. So
yeah. So yeah, that's at my small forward.
I like it.
Pick. Go back with small forward here as well. Yeah, this guy was not supposed to be as good as he is. He's really more of a power forward, but we'll go with the big lineup here. I'm going Pascal Siakam.
Mm.
Yeah,
Pascal
that's a good pick, too.
Siakam at my 3.
Light shrew spin move. I like that.
Yeah, big spin move guy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
that's
need a
how I
point
went.
guard.
That's actually a good pick. I didn't think of it. All right, point guard and small forward for you, Jaylen.
Need a point guard. Let's see. I'm going I'm going Steve Nash.
That's a good pick. That's a really
Good pick. Another good pick. Yeah, I like
That's a
that.
great pick.
Small forward. I won. Who was it? Me.
Oh, there you go.
He tried to set it up. He's like, "Oh, let me go to my notes."
There we go.
Yeah, you gotta bet on
that makes
yourself.
a lot of
There you
sense.
go.
Yeah, that's right.
That
I
adds
like
up.
it.
All right. I need a
Tom,
shooting
you
guard,
need a
right?
shooting guard. Yeah.
Shooting guard. Okay. Easy pick for me. This guy's JUCO first. Jimmy Butler.
Nice.
Oh,
That's nice.
Jared,
I like
shooting
it.
guard as well.
Yeah, shooting guard. I have two guys here. They've been battling out for the starting spot. I feel like I gotta. We're talking a lot of local products here. I feel like I gotta give this guy his shine at shooting guard. Give me Ian Book. Ian
Oh,
Buck, supposed to go to Eastern Washington, ends up at Notre Dame, ends up starting at Notre Dame, and then ends up a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I won't lie, I've seen him shoot. It's actually a solid jumper. He's got
Ian
solid jumper.
Buck.
Yeah, good
So,
jumper.
Go Trojans, man.
yeah. So shout out Ian, man. Don't say I never did
Nice.
anything for you.
I'm sure that was on his agenda to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
I have center left, and again, research did me well on this one. This guy was 5'7" as a junior in high school, according to the research that I did. I'm gonna take David Robinson at center. I did not know that that was a thing, but I mean, he went to Navy, right? He went to the Naval
Yeah,
Academy,
and he had to do his years of service.
yes, but so another part, because he wasn't the height that he eventually grew to when he first got to Navy, so he was discharged because he grew to be too tall in
Yeah,
the
he could
service.
not. He could not serve. Yeah, it
So
wasn't
they-
safe for him to actually serve on
Exactly.
on naval ship.
So once I read that he was 5'7" as a junior in high school, I was like, that adds up. Like he just kept springing up, and then
Yeah.
became David Robinson that we knew. So that's my center. Then my walk-on pick. I'm honestly shocked that this got around to me. We've raved about this guy. He's a Big Sky guy. We love his game, and again, another guy that we've hoped and that we could get on the pod. Give me another rookie. Give me Dalton Connect at the walk-on. I mean,
Yeah.
he started off
Gotta pick him.
playing
Yeah.
well for the Lakers this season. I know he's going to have the spotlight on him over there in LA, but at JUCO to Big Sky to taking NCAA by storm last year.
Yeah.
So definitely a fan of his story.
Yeah. That's a good pick. My walk-on pick is easy. This guy was a 0-star recruit out of high school. Again, I'm sticking with local products. Give me Luke Avdalovich. Luke Avdalovich as my walk-on.
Nice.
The original walk-on, Big Sky walk-on, turned into scholarship, ended up at a WCC school, and now is a professional basketball player.
OG, man. Good
Yeah.
pick.
Thanks. I should have done the Jaylen. I should have bet on myself. Now I look.
No, I was just waiting for. As soon as I got this one, I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting you back for all the times I end up on your list."
Yeah, but I got you on good ones. Like the NIL one, I think is.
This is the only one. This is the best one possible.
Yeah, it's a pretty
the late
relevant
bloomers.
one.
Yeah, come on, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think I got you on relevant ones as well.
That's true. Yeah, I can take that.
No, I'm not picking Jared. If anyone was thinking that, sorry, Jared.
Yeah.
I'm not picking myself either. I'm gonna go. This guy wanted to be a professional tennis player. He thought he was gonna be a professional tennis player first, and then became a pretty damn good NBA player. He just retired this last year. Give me Gordon Hayward. Gordon.
Wow, I did not know that about him.
Yeah, I was reading that. He has like
Yeah.
a twin sister. They thought they were gonna be tennis players together.
Dang, that's crazy.
I
Yeah,
got
I feel like-
a
A walk-on pick.
Yeah, walk on pick.
big contributor coming off the bench. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon.
That's a good pick. Yeah, that's a good pick.
The fact
That's
that
a great
that he
pick.
went all the way out like to
Yeah.
walk on is.
I'm
You
glad.
should
I'm glad
not
he ended up
have
on a
done this.
list. It's sick that you took Joel Embiid over him, though.
Yeah.
Joel starting over him. He's
Yeah.
sick right now.
I
Especially
wanted-
he
I
just
wanted
played
a
him.
little more. Yeah.
Technically, he didn't, but anyways.
Hey. We're not going to speak on that. All right. That went really well.
I can't believe you got Michael Jordan, Tom Brady first.
Yeah,
We'll go through the
Went
lineups
way
right
over
here.
my
We'll go through the
head.
lineups right here. Jaylen has Steve Nash at the point, Derek White at the shooting guard, Jaylen Wells at the small forward, Anthony Davis at the power forward, Joel Embiid at the center, Wacom, Hakeem Olajuwon. Tommy with the second pick has Drew Brees at his point guard, Jimmy Butler shooting guard, Pascal Siakam small forward, Antonio Gates power forward, Dikembe Mutombo center, Gordon Hayward walk on. Jared has Cooper Kupp at the point guard, Ian Book at the shooting guard, Didier Drogba at the small forward, Dennis Rodman at the power forward, Ben Wallace at the center, and Luke Avdalovich as his walk-on. I have Tom Brady at the point, Michael Jordan at the shooting guard, Duncan
That's
Robinson at the small forward, Clay Matthews at the power forward, David Robinson at the center, and Dalton Connect as my walk-on.
Can I make a trade? I need to pick up a free agent and cut one of my players.
We've had
Okay,
trades.
yeah,
we've had-
free
yeah,
agents
we've done this
signing,
before.
though.
Wait, no,
We've never done a
Sell
free
was
agency
trading
signing,
picks.
though.
I don't know if you saw Sell's episode, but Marcellus was literally trading picks.
We can do a free
I'm
agency
cutting.
signing.
Unfortunately, I'm cutting Derek White.
Oh, jeez.
I'm moving myself to the 2,
Okay.
and I'll put in Isaac Jones at the 3.
Okay.
Oh, wow. There
Oh,
we
he
go.
just
That's-
got a
yeah.
he got a doot 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 doot.
Yeah. To make some calls.
Yeah, what's the what are we
That's a-
calling it? What's the Shams called now? We don't have a Woj bomb anymore. What are we
Yeah, I don't
calling
know
the
what they
Shams?
call it.
I don't think it's like a thing.
Yeah,
to
it's
be
not a
honest.
thing yet. All right, okay, got it.
That's all right though. Jared, what you got for us?
Yeah,
man?
that's good. I was gonna say Isaac Jones. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Well, Jaylen, I'm assuming that you don't golf, and if you did golf, your golf clubs probably don't fit you anymore when you did start golfing. But I may have picked up golf later in life, but I'm committed to 50 chips a night, so my future rounds are looking very bright.
Nice. He doesn't even know how to react. That was that.
Good poetry from Mr. Waters. Good poetry from Mr. Waters. All right, fellas. Jaylen, we really appreciate you making it work tonight. I know it was super busy and trying to figure this out, but we really appreciate you taking the time. So,
Yeah, shout out
No
you, man.
problem.
man,
You deserve all the success you get.
yeah, man.
Don't forget
thank you. We'll
that.
talk. Keep hooping. Good luck. Good luck this week moving forward. We'll be following. We're like I said, beginning of the episode, we're stoked to see you doing huge things, and none of us are surprised either. So, as always, these are your favorite walk-ons. We're walking out.